So I went to school and high school, and American high school starts like insanely early, like 7 a.m. or something. You know, what the hell? And I can communicate. That's a problem. But the only thing that I could do well was the mathematics, and not because I'm Asian, but because that's the only subject that I don't have to use English. And also physics. I used to like physics a lot. High school was really difficult as well, because I feel really alone, even more alone, when I was surrounded by people. You see, when I'm alone in a desert, in a trailer, I felt alone, but there's nothing that reminded me that I was alone. One thing that was interesting to me at the time was a vending machine. In Japan, there's no vending machine in high schools, usually, most of the time. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But what was really scary was that the vending machine was surrounded by wire mesh for protection, for security. Apparently, some people, attacked the vending machines and then they tried to steal all the changes or something. So that's the moment that I realized that, oh, this is not the same safe environment that I'm so used to. America is not as safe as Japan. I also talked about the high school teachers that I had. There's a American history teacher, Mr. Fruity. I think his name was Fruity. Sounds really strange, isn't it? But he's really uplifting, joyful person and always smiling, and it just 気分がいいね. He's like a really happy person all the time. And he taught us American history. And it's really elementary textbooks I managed to understand. And there's an English class, and she was uptight and really difficult person. And since I can't articulate myself, I used to say, all the time. Since I overused it, at one point she got furious, and she goes, I don't know what. That was really. If you see an insecure kid from foreign country who tried to speak your language for you, be kind. And I have a math teacher, a teacher in mathematics class, and he was a racist. And he kept saying, horrible things about Mexican immigrants and in Asians and all that in class. And all these white students are like, yeah. And I have to listen to that, being the only Asian in the class, and I have to listen to it when everybody else is like nodding. Yeah. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Kora, they're fighting. But there's one great teacher, physics teacher, and he's from Germany. He's like a blonde hair and a white guy, really tall guy. He is a wonderful guy, and he knew that I'm having a hard time. I was having a hard time communicating, and he was really kind and take it slow, and he showed me some sense of respect. And I was a kid, but I felt that respect from him, seeing me as a one human being instead of just some kid who doesn't matter. I really still do appreciate how he was with me. He once showed me his video of himself playing like a cello or something like that instrument, and a strange thing is that it's all smoke. It's a smoke-filled room, and everything is dark, and there's a light shining upon him, and he's like playing an instrument, and he's like half naked. I mean, he was wearing his pants, but it was like upper body was like naked, and it was like you know, and that was surreal. And it's really strange. But students were really happy to see him doing whatever he loves to do. When it comes to friends, no friends. First of all, a couple Japanese people who came with the exchange programs are in high school, but we didn't really get along. I was really introvert and so on. So the only people that I wanted to communicate with was friends back in my high school. So I wrote a lot of letters. There's no internet back then, so there's no email. There's no, and if you call Japan, it costs like 360 yen per minute or something like that. So you go bankrupt. So what do you do? The only thing you could do is to send a letter, and it took like a 3 weeks to hear from them. And they don't really show any Japanese information on the TV, so I don't know what was going on. But apparently, that was when the Japanese emperor, Showa emperor, was dying, and I had no idea. And then one morning, my host father said that he showed me this newspaper and said, "Hey, your emperor is dead. Your emperor passed away." And I was like, "What?" And that felt really strange. Yeah, strange feeling. Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a board game, like a role-playing game, table talk game. You need to do face-to-face this one. That's where the word came from. RPG, role-playing game. The role I'm playing is like a warrior or the monk or the mage or something. At the time, there's not many computers available, so this is a really practical way for me to have fun. But you see, unlike computer game, you have to find some people to play with. But I don't have a friend, so what are you gonna do? Well, I don't remember exactly, but I met a guy called Chuck, and Chuck is a chubby white guy, and he doesn't look handsome, so he's not one of those popular kids. You see, American high school is all about who is popular and not. I don't know about now, but that's how it used to be. And people who play football and or cheerleading or have some talents or are good looking and they're sportsmen and they belong to that popular group. So there's a school caste, like a school hierarchy, and the top there's those people and there's somebody and somebody. And I'm like the very bottom of this pyramid, right? And the people who don't look good, people who are people who play computer games and blah, 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 they're at the bottom, right? And I was there, and Chuck was there too. So we became closer. And we used to play D&D and so on. That was a moment of, and he had a car, so that was big. He's the one that showed me around the Palm Springs city, all those nice buildings and shops and so on. It was nice. Like a whiff of freedom. It's like the only opportunity to get away from everything else. But there's another guy called Denny, and he's also chubby. If you're extremely chubby, heavy, then people don't respect you often. That's sad, but people often look down on you. And he was one of those guys, and because he was at the school, at the bottom of the school caste hierarchy, like Jack, we became close. And he used to live near my trader. He's one of those trader, house boys. He's from low income family. We used to play, pool, like a billiard, and in America they call it pool. And we used to play skateboards. I had this red shiny skateboard at the time. That was the only hobby that I had at the time. And so that was a really, really painful, lonely difficult 10 months of my life. Well, there's a couple positive things happened to me at the time. One is that I decided to started writing poems, and it turned out that I greatly enjoy writing poems. Do you guys know Bukowski, Charles Bukowski? I don't know how to pronounce it. Well, he had a horrible childhood, and his father especially, and he spent really lonely and horrible life, difficult life, and but one thing that he kept doing was writing poetry, and I feel really close to him and how he felt. I guess poetry was his way of living in a way, and to me, the same. The act of writing poem itself is healing process to me. Because I was unable to express my emotions, and poetry wasn't a way to express my emotions. All my life, I had this emotional, what was it? Emotional benpi. How do you say benpi in English? A constipation, emotional constipation. So I had this really tough time expressing my emotions. But once you feel extremely emotional, you can't contain it. Although it took another 30 years or at least 25 years for me to learn how to express my emotions properly. But that was the first time I felt that, I have all these feelings and I have to let them out. And also, I decided that I'm going to study. Why? Because that was South California, right? So that's close to the U.S.-Mexico border. And there's many immigrants from Mexico who are really poor and have to work all day and exhausted and tired. And I saw them all the time on the bus and learned that how miserable and difficult their lives are. Realized that I have a chance to get out of it if I do something about it. And the best way, the most efficient way, and the easy way to get out of it is to study and get a degree. So that's the moment that I said to myself, I'm gonna study not because my parents want me to or something. It's because I don't want to live like this. And when that sense of motivation comes from you, not from outside, then you will change. And my English got better. Remember, I was a horrible student, and even at the end of this exchange program, even after the 10 months of my stay, I couldn't still use words like should or could or will but got better still. And that gave me a confidence when I get back to Japanese high school. Yeah, gave me a jump start to resume my study in Japan. Do I recommend high school students to go abroad? Well, difficult to say. You see, some people just do have wonderful time. Like my sister, and one of my sisters really didn't really have a tough time. She enjoyed it. So it depends on the circumstances, your character, host family, your command of English. And these days, you do have internet, so you feel less alone. But all I can say is that it's not for everybody. Sometimes I hear horror stories from some people, so it's tough, sad, lonely, miserable. But for me, it gave me something that I needed. Do I want to do that again if I had a chance? Going through really tough time sometimes give you insights and experience that stay with you for a long time. Anyway, guys, I need a new drink. I hope you liked it. That's a translation of the first topic that I discussed in this channel. All right, I'm gonna drink more and I'm gonna get sober and I'm gonna ride a motorcycle. Okay? All right, guys. See you then.